the prophet, obviously from her house to where the prophet was, and he said to the prophet, the creditors are come. That is, the creditors are right there in my house to take my two children as bondmen. People of God, do you know, from her house to the house of the prophet, or maybe they were living close, or maybe they were living farther away from each other, but that's not very important. But at least she was there enough for the prophet to answer her, give her instructions, and then she ran back to her house, and she told the two children, don't forget, the creditors are come. They are willing, they're already there to take my two children. And then she told her two children, right now, go to all our neighbors' houses, go and collect all their empty vessels. Don't forget, the creditors were there. And these children start moving from Mama Bilikwisi's house to the Mama Tokwe's house to Mama Hassan's house, and they kept knocking. Remember, these are the two children that the creditors came to collect, and these children gathered all the vessels. They were still there, and they carried the vessels right into their mother. They were still there. They watched this woman lock the door. I came to let somebody know, I don't care what is closer. I don't care what came closer. And you're saying, Pastor, this is closer than I ever thought. I see this danger. I see this setback. It's trying to rip me apart. God says, don't worry. It might be close, but nothing will go wrong. It might be close, but I am your defense. It might be close. The creditors might be close, but they won't touch your children. The creditors might be close, but they will not sabotage your tomorrow. The creditors might be close, but you will lose your smile. You will lose your laughter. The creditors might be close, but I came to remind you, nothing will go wrong. Nothing will go wrong. I'm a pastor. I see my debt rising. Relax. The creditors might be close. I'm a but the Lord has gone ahead of you. 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 If you understand it, thunder a louder amen. Let your amen thunder louder. Let your amen rise higher. Let your amen rise higher. And the prophet asked the woman, what do you have in your house? And the woman says, sir, I have only a pot of oil. And the woman says, I have only a pot of oil. I came to let you know, Shabalikasa, if you die, your generation will cry. Here was a woman lamenting because her husband is dead. If you let that area of your life where God is saying, keep it alive, Messiah, if you let it die, there are people who your being alive is their only glimmer of hope. If you let it die, those connected to you will cry. And that's why I say, warrior that you are, giant that you are, don't let that area die. Don't let your prayer altar die. Don't let your consecration die. If it dies, somebody help me shake your head and say, I'm not letting it die. Say, I'm not letting it die. Shout it, I'm not letting it die. Thunder it, I'm not letting it die. Somebody shout, say never. Can you shout it, never? Can you thunder, never? People of God, before I did the aside, let me remind you that on the way to the overflow, it comes with a lot of instructions. Overflow without instruction cannot be consolidated. On the way to the overflow, the woman of God, the man of God gave her instructions and said, listen, this is what you're going to do. And people of God, by the way, they asked her, what do you have in your house? She said she had a pot of oil. Now you see this pot of oil, just like every other pot, cooking utensil that is in our contemporary moment. In the Bible times, what they call the pot of oil was your regular pot. But then again, their pots were always with a cover. Their pots were always with a cover. Their pots were always with a cover. Oh, don't say, Pastor Jerry, why are you emphasizing? Don't we already know? Please let me say it again, that their their pots were always with a cover. And people of God, what the man of God was saying to her is that when you get home, you must be intentional, because the instruction is pour. And if you've got to pour, the first thing you're going to do is to take the cover off. There's going to be a flow, but most importantly, take the cover off. There's about to be an overflow, but the biggest challenge you have to your overflow is the cap you have put on your expectation. Is the cap that you have put on yourself. Is the cap you have put on your abilities. Is the cap that you have put on your capabilities. And God sent me for what is about to happen in your life. God sent me to tell you, take the limits off. You are bigger than who they called you. Take their perceptions of you off. The Lord is doing a new thing. Take your failures off. The work of the Lord in your life will be called supernatural. Take yesterday off. And the Lord said to Jeremiah, do not say I am a child. Take your identity off. Somebody talk back to me. Say, Pastor, I am taking it